All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience as our SBL is fucked tonight. But I'm AJ0, joined here with 30 Caliber, and we are here to bring you game one of week two. And, well, we're going to start with something new here tonight, guys. We actually are going to be doing weekly game by game MVP voting behind the scenes, handpicked by me because I tend to know who's playing well each week. So I would like to congratulate our three week one MVPs. So looking at game one, we had Think Twice, Die Once beat Boy Butter pretty convincingly, and it was really on the back of an awesome game from Purple Pickle Pie. He went 5-1-15 as Nautilus. He was all over the map. Uh, it was just awesome. I was gushing about it. It made me excited to play top lane. And 30, because I haven't let you talk yet. You were on that team. How did you feel about Nautilus?
Hi. I felt very good about Nautilus. In that game, three bans were targeted at Purple, taking away all of his carry champs. And I guess the real question everyone wanted answered was, could he play a tank? And yeah, he can.
Yeah, that's a really big thing I didn't bring up. The three bans. When I saw Purple pick Nautilus, I expected him to have like an okay game. I knew he wasn't gonna like get dumpstered in the lane or anything, but I figured it wasn't going to be particularly high impact. And man, was I wrong. Thermidor came up there for a level 2 gank after a nice invade out of you guys. They chunked I'm Just Dan down to half health at level 1, and Purple just slow pushed that lane to the tower. Then he made a nice roam onto mid. He got a kill onto Zwerbs real early. And he went back to his lane, and he just kept pressuring the hell out of Dan. I mean, he was everywhere. You guys wanted to invade, he was there. There was a fight breaking out, he was there. I mean,
Yeah.
It was just a monster of a game. I was very impressed. So next up, and that was a unanimous MVP, so congrats Purple. Got all 4 of his possible votes of that one, because I like to give out multiple votes. It makes it feel, a little fairer.
Mm-hmm.
So game 2, we had the Xmas Trees Alistar going 1-0-12 in a Waifu Superstar win over 2K2S. And this one was a little more of a contested vote. The Tree gathered 2 of the 4 votes. Very solid game, though, for what was, I believe, his all-time Batty League debut as Alistar.
Yeah, that's the thing I brought up during the cast as well. He's never been known as an Alistar player. But Alistar he's probably the most powerful support pick right now, and he really shined on it. Well, he didn't die a single time, had really good headbutt, pulverized initiations for his team, and most important of all, kept the MPP alive, Salvo.
Yeah, and I can give you guys a little insider information. Basically, right after the draft, we had our first team meeting, and we talked about what champs we should learn, and we just said, sure, you need to learn Alistar. He's way too good for you not to play. And I'd say it worked out just fine for us. And then our last MVP from last week, from Game 3 in Batty Bargain Unoriginality Bin's win over the SS Boosted Friendship, was Blabooer on the legendary mid lane Scion.
Wow. Did you say this was unanimous?
He actually got 3 of the 4 votes, surprisingly. I expected this to be a unanimous decision, but it was not.
Right. And like, I was actually kind of torn on this too, but I voted for Blab as well. And his Scion ults, like we talked about during the cast, were out of this world. Every Scion ult seemed to be part of a top 10 play of the week. I have top 5. I mean, like, everything. The Scion ults were amazing, and I mean, he did have a good laning phase, but he was also playing against Cheeseburger.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think we can hold that against him, because he did exactly what you want somebody to do when they're up against a significantly weaker laner. He beat up on them in lane, and he was just he got free farm, and then he was in the right place at the right time for all of the fights that occurred.
Yep, exactly.
And just a quick update, guys. I did just get word from 2K2S. The player that was having some PC difficulties is officially getting everything booted. He should be online momentarily, so it should just be another minute or 2, hopefully, before we get to go into this first game. So anyways, yeah, you can see it on stream. You see those MVPs. You see those kill scores over their champions. You see that Scion is an orc straight out of World of Warcraft.
Well, here's something to bring up. All 3 of these champions are tanks. That's very surprising. Not a single like carry role was. I mean, I guess mid is a carry role, but like it's Scion, he's a tank. I mean, and also purple, he plays carries in top lane, but once again a tank. So maybe a trend for this season.
Yeah, we'll see. That's very un SBL like to see so much credit going over to the supportive players, which is a good trend because we have some very good supportive players in this league. So yeah, curious to see if that keeps up. But moving on to this current game we are about to play. So we are going to have Boy Butter on the blue team versus 2 Kawaii to live, 2 Sugoi to die on the red team. And this feels like in the now 7 seasons we've played in the SBL, quite possibly the least hyped anyone has ever been for a matchup, including Master Splinter and Thrifty Senpai.
Yeah, it's really remarkable, honestly. I wouldn't say Splinter had a bad game last week, but he didn't have like an outstanding performance, really. He didn't really play to the caliber that's expected of him. And also Thrifty actually, he did the opposite. He played to his level, but he, like you said in the cast, he was playing with 3 rookies last game. Scotch was actually sitting on the bench last week while he was on vacation. So Thrifty had a great game. Splinter had an all right game, but I think both of these players are super hungry to get their first win of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you see both these guys start the season on a loss. And like you said, to me, the biggest storyline about this game is Scotchadout coming back. He was drafted to be the clear number 2 on 2K2S, and they very sorely missed him last week. No one on that team got a single kill besides 50 Senpai in their loss to Waifu Superstar. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure on Scotchadout to just be somebody else that has to be acknowledged in the game. Because insider information, as I played that team last week, we really ignored everyone on that team but Thrifty Senpai.
Yeah, they were pretty big non-factors, and they're rookies. It didn't seem like they had the best grasp of macro. Whereas your team, on the other hand, was very crisp and clean once the mid game rolled around and your comp started to speed up and power up. Yeah, Thrifty couldn't do it all on itself, but like you said, luckily he's got his number 2 in command here, Scotch, not coming off last season. I believe he won the championship. Is that correct?
Yes, he was on the championship team with Master Splinter and Kindhose and some other guys.
And was that his debut season?
That was his rookie season.
Yeah, and he came
out
of it, and this season in the draft, he was expected to go very early in the draft. He's expected to be one of the best top laners in this league. So I mean, it's a huge boost for 2K2S. Well, on the other hand, actually, there's a substitution for Boy Butter. So we got Manlord the Miracle stepping in onto the Rift for his first game of the season. Cruise Master played last week, played mid Zillion, I believe. But now we got Manlord stepping in for the mid.
I was Cruise Master playing Lux last week.
Oh, Lux, yes, that's it. Yeah, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Manlord, I feel like he plays a different position every season. But I think he most often than not he's comfortable in the mid and support roles, which is coincidentally what Cruise Master also plays. I don't know what Manlord does to the team when you put him in. Aside from Cruise, I think Manlord's probably a better laner, more aggressive, obviously, where Cruise is the more passive player. Likes to ward a lot, very heavy on the strategic side. But Manlord, he can be kind of a wild card. Sometimes he really goes off, but then some other times he maybe overreaches a bit on some of his plays.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Manlord's a player that has a chance of winning the game for you outright, but he's also got much more of a chance of losing the game for you. So I'm really excited to see what he can do in his debut here, because this is not a bench player stepping in for a player missing. This was a conscious decision to give Manlord the Miracle to start over Cruise Master this week. And I'm really excited to see what he does with that, because he hasn't started in this league since season 1.
Wow. That's
a long time ago.
The comeback is real, man. He's been in the shadows, boxing training.
And there's been a lot of hype around him. Every time he comes in and starts, no matter which team it's been for, it even through his mistakes, he generates a lot of excitement. So it's gonna be cool to see what he can do here with a full-fledged chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And bands coming out. Kale and Giovanna for 2K2S so far, and the Malphite and Evelyn are the bands for Boy Butter. What do you think about the Evelyn band?
Um, Not too surprised. We banned that last week versus 2K2S as well. It's one of Epic's most played champions. And it's just one of those things that it's not necessarily super strong right now. But if you're not too concerned about other bans, it's just one of those things that you have to change so much of how you play against that it can be really frightening to go up against an Evelyn player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's kind of uncommon. So week 2 already, and we see 2 Evelyn bands. I remember season 4 of the SBL, like around that season 3, season 4 time, and Evelyn was a very strong pick. You'd have Evelyn bands pretty much every game. But times have changed. Evelyn has not. First pick overall going to K-King on RA. Well, obviously for Manlore in the mid lane. So prioritizing the first pick and giving it over to your newly crowned mid laner. What do you think about the RE first pick?
So I actually kind of like it, assuming that's one of the champs that Manlore is the most confident on, which I do not know much about what Manlore's mid pool looks like. I expect it to be fairly wide, so I think there was probably a lot of discussion about this before the draft. But my thought process is he's going up against Thrifty Senpai. Thrifty's already going to have the counter pick, no matter what. Why not just pick the Ari early, see if you can force 2K2S's hand a little bit, and maybe get some counter picks for some other members of your team that wouldn't normally have them.
Yeah, that's absolutely agree. That's so true. And I mean, Ari does have a relatively safe laning phase if you choose to play it like that. But Manlore, like we were talking about, he does have the options to sort of all in at the level 6. But it's gonna be pretty tough against Thrifty here. I think Thrifty is not too concerned right now. I think he sees the Ari first pick, and I think he's already scheming and devising his counter mid.
And that's a scary debut if you're Manlore. He's had to play against good mid laners, but Thrifty Senpai is kind of his own beast as far as this league is concerned.
Yeah. Yes, that is very true. I mean, he tried last week to solo carry his entire team on Oriana. I think he started the game 4-0, maybe just 4-1 actually, and yeah, if he was honestly playing probably a greedier champion, someone like not Oriana, maybe that was like an assassin or scaled a little bit better from getting so many early kills, he might have been able to carry that game outright. But enough talk about that. We got a lot of picks on the board here, and let's talk about 2K2S. They first round, they picked up Alistar and Tristana. Very good, strong bot lane. Your team actually played that last week. What do you think about that?
So I think if they opt to play that lane correctly, it's a really exciting lane to have. Alistar Tristana, what you want to do in basically every scenario is push the lane and never stop pushing the lane, and then keep pushing the lane, and then push it a little more. And these guys, Boom Trooper and Zaku, I think most of us are expecting to be one of the weaker 2v2s in the league. So if you're not super comfortable in your ability to out-trade your opponents, why not just pick a lane where you can just shove them into tower over and over and create pressure that way?
Yeah, no,
I
I
assume there was
absolutely
probably
agree.
a lot of thinking out of this. The only concern is you're not up against Mai Wang in the jungle. You're up against Master Splinter. And you know what Master Splinter wants to see? You pushed, no matter who you are.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of heads up warding that needs to happen from Zaku to keep his lane alive. And like you said, yeah, Tristana passive and with Alistar heal, there's almost no way you're not going to push the lane. And Tristana, because coincidentally also because of the passive, it's hard to hit under your tower. So yeah, you want to keep pushing it constantly, get as much damage you can on the tower early on, and transition into the mid game where Tristana can really spike. Um, let's talk about. Well, I mean, actually, blue side here. They have their whole team comp already for Boy Butter. They got a Nautilus pick. Looks like that's actually going over to Joe in the support role, and then we have I'm Just Dan on one of his old mainstays with Pantheon top.
This is going to be quite the challenge for Scotchnaut. This should not be a pretty lane for Trundle. And
early on, Dan's
I'm
instant bully him.
actually really surprised that 2K2S didn't save the final counter pick of the draft for Scotchnaut in that top lane. I assumed that was going to happen. But it looks like, yep, they wanted to go for a very greedy mid lane pick, and they're going to go for Karthus here. And they're going to have a hell of a late game on 2K2S.
Yeah. That team comes straight out of Bronze, it looks like. And not because it's like... it's because they're easy. Oh, look at those easy champs. You just lay down the AoE. I mean, Amumu. We haven't seen Amumu a lot in SBL, but when we do, it seems like Amumu always loses.
I know a lot of people are talking about Amu, like the Sad Mummy's making a bit of a comeback lately. So I guess we'll see. But that is a team that is built to team fight back at the Boy Butter team comp.
Yeah, that is for sure. And Thrifty, he deals a lot of damage over time. Mumu can also deal a lot of damage over time, but he obviously has that great initiation. And Shuttle does have good amounts of sustained damage. So their team comp wants the team fights to last longer, like you said. Whereas Boy Butter, they have a lot of initiation.
Oh. Sorry, I was watching the countdown there to see if Thrifty Senpai was about to take Smite and do something real janky, and he changed that as the countdown hit 0.
Oh,
so, my heart just fluttered a little bit, but
wow. Well, that would have been something. That would have been. I think that might have been a little too much disrespect.
Yeah, I don't even know. I had my lead in already on that one, and now he switched it. So back to real life. And Salvo actually brings up a really good point in Twitch chat that after the Nautilus was picked, 2K2S probably assumed it was just going to be Nautilus top, and the Trundle was going to be a counter pick up there. But then because of how 2K2S drafted out, they could look and guarantee that it was going to be Trundle top. So whether that Naut was a flex or going to be support the whole time, it opened up for Dan to pick his Pantheon.
Yeah, actually, overall, so going off the point you made about Ari and the point you just made about Nautilus being a flex pick, Wukong is actually also a flex pick. Like Splinter loves Wukong jungle, but Dan in the past is also known to play Wukong. So really, actually, a very intelligent draft from Boy Butter.
Yeah, and I like this comp so much more than the composition that Boy Butter played in Week 1, where they played a poke comp that kind of had a hecker of minutes, and we weren't really too sure what they were going for, and they never really got going, other than Albino Joe's monster game on Blitzcrank. I know he landed more hooks on the opposing ADC than any Blitzcrank ever has any business doing.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Also, that ADK was you. But anyways, this is a much more stereotypical Master Splitter comp. This is a bunch of champs going fast with a Sivir ult and just jumping in and killing everybody no matter where you are. As soon as Master Splinter says the magic word, go.
You know, K-King's really just... this is just going to be a big old game of nostalgia for him, because last season when he played the couple games that he did, he played Sivir or Callista, and because Sivir was a huge pick back then, he always did very well on Sivir. He had actually some pretty well-timed mechanical outplay Sivir ults, man.
Well, that's good, because he's going to need some of those this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love this comp. I get the impression that Master Splinter has wanted to change his perception a little bit this season. A lot of people have been hounding on Master Splinter, saying, he can only play the one style, only play the game the one way. And I think last week he was trying way too hard to be like, hey guys, look, I'm going to do this whole poke and siege comp thing. Well, guess what? You built an awful team for it. Go back to what has worked for you in all 6 seasons you've played. Going fast and team fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's where Splitter really shines. Like, he is a very heavy control ganker, jungler in the early game, and then that just transitions to, can we find a fight here? Yes, do it. Fight, follow me in. I'm going in, follow me. I will carry you guys and win this game for you on a high damage jungler. That's the Splinter way. But yeah, overall, I do like their comp a little bit more than 2K2S's. 2K2S's, they do scale really well into the late game, but I feel like it's going to be a challenge getting there. Like Amu,
yes,
Amu has a very tough time against someone like a Wukong, even a Pantheon that could actually roam in with Wukong into the opposing jungle, bully a Mumu out, he gets super far behind. Same with Thrifty. I mean, Karthus doesn't have an escape built in, so you could even see Joe roaming up from the bottom lane, 3-man ganking mid, just pressuring these enemy champs and making sure that they can't get to the late game as early as possible.
Yeah, I will just throw this out there. I would never let my own jungler pick a champion this is invadable as Amumu versus Master Splinter.
Yeah, and it's the unfortunate part because I think that's just Epic Yandere's champ pool, right? Like the Evelynn was banned, and then this is probably his next go-to. Unless this is actually purely for the team composition, but I mean, I wouldn't pick Amu just purely for team compositions nowadays. I would pick it if I was like a master Amumu player.
Well, we will find out what's going on
Wow, dude, that
here.
Master Splinter Kong skin is fucking tight. Did you see he floated on a cloud?
It's pretty fucking sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Right, I'm glad I don't play that garbage champ because I probably would have had to drop money for that skin.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like it's ultimately going to just be some vision gained here at level 1. Nothing too crazy going on. Looking at these item starts, once again, nothing too shocking. So this should just turn into, you know, some lanes.
Yep. Starting week 2 off strong with a very passive level 1 here. Looking at runes and masteries, I don't see anything out of the ordinary here.
And Albino Joe and Boy Butter are going to go for a little hook check there. Nice little cheeky play in case anyone was sitting in that bush.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's level 1, folks. Back to the leash.
Yeah, no, this is pretty standard stuff across the board. I'll point out that Mumu runes and masteries. I've always done a lot of theory crafting on him. He just went Magic Pen Reds. The rest of the runes were tanky, and then he went 12-0-18, getting Strength of the Ages as his keystone. Very popular. Actually, all junglers nowadays usually take Strength of the Ages, but Amumu being a good tank in the late game will benefit a lot from that as well. Be interesting to see if he gets ahead. He might even go for an early Runic Echoes, which really helps out Amu in the early game. Good amount of trading going back and forth on the top lane here.
Yeah, this is going to be hopefully the last game of the SBL before Pantheon gets nerfed, first of all, as he does have some minor nerfs going through in the patch coming out tonight. But
Yeah.
Pantheon is just so good versus basically every top laner in laning phase right now. This could turn into a very, very bad time for Sundari Scotch.
Yep, he's already down to 1 stack, or 1 charge on the Corrupting Potion. Dan's sitting that too, and he's sitting pretty healthy here. Luckily, Trundle does have that built-in passive where he will be healing a little bit.
But unfortunately, Scotch is going to be pushing that lane early because of how he positioned at level 1 and 2. And Dan's going to have a lot of opportunities to create something here. But it does look like Epic Yandere might attempt to gank in this top lane.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the river. Dan did not ward early here.
Wukong's also in behind this bot lane on a 2K2S.
Yeah, Albino Joe, he misses the hook, but fights are going on both the top side and the bottom. I'm just dead. He actually blocks the Trundle bite there, and Scotch takes a parting tower shot, and no kills today. Flash actually used out of Scotch, and Dan didn't use a summoner there. So actually a big net gain for Boy Butter there. I mean, specifically just I'm just Dan. He can really snowball that advantage.
Yep, it looks like the 2K2S bot lane didn't have to blow any summoners in that first gank, which isn't too surprising. It's pretty hard to gank a Tristana Alistair this early, especially after that hook miss out of Albino Joe.
Right. I honestly, after the hook miss, I think Splinter probably should have just walked away and went back to farming. I don't think there's any follow-up there.
I mean, do you think West would consider that? Like, he's walking into gank, he's like in Viz and everything, and then he just sees you miss the hook, and he's like, oh man, you missed that hook, fuck this. And just like, as he pops out of stealth, 2K2S just sees him walk back into the river, and they're like, what just happens? Is this how Diamond works? I've never played against a Diamond player before.
Well, honestly, I think that should have been the right move, man. You're just wasting time. You're not going to get any kills, let alone summoners against Alistair Trist. But I guess that's neither here or there. Scotch comes back into the lane. He only has the cloth armor, but he did pick up a pink ward for that river. Watching out for Master Splinter though, but he's spending his time around the bottom side of the map. He already ganked bot once. He might be in a position to gank mid here after raids.
Yeah, so a few things I want to note on the early CSing. We do see I'm Just Dan coming off to a big lead, but there is a huge wave coming towards Scotchanaut. He should be able to equalize most of that CS, but in the mid lane, Thrifty Senpai taking a decisive lead over Manlore early.
Yeah. And
up almost 2 waves as he goes for his first recall, and he's going to be able to have a shove advantage here. Yeah, he's going to go back with a very nice item breakpoint. Thrifty Senpai has been just dictating this lane from level 1 onwards, as Manlore has really just missed a lot of CS under the pressure that Thrifty puts out.
Yeah, and maybe that's nerves. First SBL game of the season. He's on the big Twitch stream, and he is going against someone really intimidating. But I don't even think it's on Manlore. Thrifty just plays Karthus that good. He always farms so well on Karthus because he knows that's how you win a Karthus. You farm up, you get your catalyst, you get your tier, you get into that mid game, and then once you get to the late game, he will have 100 more CS than the enemy mid laner.
And I am feeling a rumbling in my loins as both junglers make their way into top lane.
Ooh.
No one knows about the other.
Yeah, match winner goes in. He goes in onto I'm Just Dan, or it's under Scotch actually, and he has to ult and he doesn't even have his ult yet. He's starting to walk away, but Dan, he will go down. First blood going over to Amu. I pick Yandere actually, and quite a turn of events there.
That was a really nice counter gank from Epic Yandere, whether it was intentional or not. There was a big wave.
Yeah, and a hook lands from Albino Joe. Boom Trooper taking a lot of damage. Boomerang Blade hits. And it will force the 2K2S bot lane till pretty low health, but Alistar heals should get them up here, but they try to have to last it under tower.
Just an aside, Karthus is now level 6, so we can start watching out for some Requiem plays on the map. But going back to the top lane kill, that was just a really nice time for Epic to be there because there was such a huge wave built up out of 2K2S that creep damage played a substantial part in that trade.
Right. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how Scotch survived that. I mean, the Cloth Arbor maybe, and he usually runs a little bit tankier, but it almost looked like he had his ult pop because he was getting health back so much, but yeah, just narrowly escaping, and Epic Yandere able to finish up the kill. 1-0 for him on Amu, and he actually goes back and gets the Hunter's Potion upgrade early on, so he's just looking to constantly stay in the jungle and farm up as fast as he can. Maybe find a good counter gank. That was a pretty good idea out of Epic.
Yeah, it really was. And that's going to be big in this matchup as well because Amumu's going to need the help versus Master Splinter to not get invaded on. And that extra 300 gold most likely going to be pretty substantial.
Yeah, and blue buff donated over to Thrifty there. He's already at 54 CS. He's got that tier and some boots, to help dodge all those skill shots coming out from Ari. But the Rift Herald was picked up, like you mentioned. The buff went over to Sundari Scotch in the top lane, just to try to keep the lane evened out. I don't know if he actually wants to push it in. I'm Just Dan actually is pushing a lot, so maybe this is just to help equalize it and maybe help him win trades.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what they're going for.
Yeah, because, he has another pink ward though. Really heads up play for Scotch today. 2 pink wards already bought 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Oh, Boom Trooper goes in. 3-man gank down here in the bottom lane. The Karthus all goes out. Sauce is down onto KK. He gets completely blown away. Epic Yandere lands the bandage toss. Albino Joe tries to answer with some damage, but he has nothing today. And look at that coordination coming out of 2K2S to start this game off.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to maybe trade top tower for a dragon here. We're going to see Scotchnaut is recalling right now. He should be able to get back to that top lane before the tower goes down. Or it's going to be close, actually.
Oh, yeah. He used that teleport to get into that bottom lane for the gank there.
So
First dragon going over 2K2S.
But they are going to give up this top lane tower for it. And I don't like that trade to give up the tower this early. When you want to scale out, you don't need the early dragons. Obviously, Dragon 1 at 9 minutes is never going to be that big of a deal.
Right,
and it really isn't going to relieve that much pressure for 2K2S's bot lane either, because Epic Yandere took that kill with the bandage toss, which Epic Yandere had a very bad gank there. The Curse of the Sad Mummy hit nobody.
Yeah. Ooh, Boomerang goes out. Zaku pretty low there. Good trading coming out for K-King and Albino Joe, but yeah, to go back to your point there, it is just to further explain why trading for that 2K2S's comp specifically, why Dragon trading for tower there was bad. In a late game Tom, actually Mandor the Miracle, he flashes in, he's trying to go in onto Thrifty. I'm just in. Man drops in and a well-timed gank. Manlor's gonna pick up the kill onto Thrifty, and 3 men here in the mid lane for Boy Butter. They're trying to get a push on the mid tower.
I really like how Boy Butter's playing this game out early. And another thing I didn't get to note on was that Kaking and Albino Joe were really dictating that bot lane. They backed at the right time. Boom Trooper and Zaku did not read it, and they forced them into a situation where they were laning with Doran's Blade versus a BF sword, and they were just screwed at that point because whenever they wanted to recall, which they had to do to continue to fight, they were going to give up their tower. So we're just seeing really good pressure around the map from Boy Butter here, using all of their advantages effectively.
Yeah. And that's now the second tower for them, and that is playing perfectly into their comp strategy here. And to finish off the point I was going to try to make, getting Dragon for a late game skilling comp is not good right now. The first Dragon, the one that gives you percentage AD and AP, it actually will benefit them even more if they can just wait and take it later. And if they can take an early tower, they can keep extending the laning phase. They can play safe. They can just farm lanes out very safely and extend the game out. There's no reason. I mean, obviously the Dragon was local to their bottom lane gank, but I don't know. Overall, this might come back to hurt them because Boy Butter already has a 1k gold lead here.
Yeah, I think that 2K2S needed to get the double kill in that bot lane so they could have taken the tower for that play. It would have been worth it. And there were just too many misplays within that fight for that to happen.
Yeah. Well,
it's also worth noting that that top lane tower going down is going to make I'm Just Dan completely free to roam.
Yep, Boom Trooper, the hook lands. Albino Joe laying down that OP Nautilus damage. K-King spell shields the bandit shots, but doesn't spell shield the curse of that sad mummy. Tristana bomb is out, down onto K-King, and Zaku flashes, headbutts him back in, and Boom Trooper's going to pick up that kill onto K-King. And once again, Thrifty peeking in on that gank with the Karthus ult. Albino Joe is going to try to fend off this wave. Splinter's waiting in the wings. Oh, Epic on Derry. He might get caught out here, and Master Splinter, he lays on the Wukong, a lot of damage going down. Exhaust goes down into Boom Trooper here. They're going to try to turn it around. Both Master Splinter and Joe are low, and no gank today, but here comes Manlore. Spirit Rush is activated. Lands the charm onto Zaku, and the kill goes over to Manlore. Heads up roam play out of Manlore the Miracle.
This has been a really exciting game so far. A lot of action, a lot of trading going down. I don't think you or I feel like we've had enough time to talk about everything we wanted to hit.
Yeah, no, we're so analytical, Swift. We just want to talk about the macro game, but there's no time.
Well, let me tell you actually about this Wraith camp that Master Splinter just took. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not Crepo. I don't know enough about jungle camps to be Crepo.
All right. Well, yeah, and now it's extended to almost a 2k gold lead for Boy Butter here. Those are evened up, but like we said earlier, they still have that tower advantage, and you can see that they're roaming towards this mid. That's the next outer tower to take, and I think they're going to put at least 3, maybe 4 people mid, and they're just going to overpower Karthus.
I just want to hit real fast. Manlore and Thrifty Senpai are at dead even gold. And if you had told me before this game, is this the most Manlore the Miracle way this lane could have played out? You know,
yes.
Down 35 CS, but he manages to get 2 kills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Manlore's a huge team player, and the communication for Boy Butter this game has actually been pretty outstanding. Like, I'm Just Dan, man drops into mid lane. A good tower fend off from Splinter and Albino Joe in the bottom lane. Actually, K-King and Albino Joe have just been playing fantastic this game. K-King is farming really well. He has died twice, though, but I don't think that's a really fault on his own because Epic on Derry, he set up the tent down there.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. They've had a little too little respect for Epic Yandere, and they haven't really been playing the vision game well.
Oh, I'm Just
saying,
laying down the damage. Sunday Scotch, he pops the Trundle wall, uses the cone to try to interrupt some auto attacks here, but I'm Just Dan. Uses the Heartseeker strike, and Scotch has to flash out of it. So flash down for Scotch, and he's really low right now, and he has to be pushed out of the lane, actually.
That was also a Scuttle Crab steal over the wall by Boom Trooper. A nice heads-up play. Because in a game like this, every little advantage counts.
Mm-hmm. See, now the game's kind of stalled out. Boy Butter, it seems like they had a lot of momentum going, like about 5 minutes ago after after the top fights, after the bottom fights, and they got those 2 towers. But now it's sort of playing into 2K2S's hand here.
Yeah,
They
they
just need to
seem a
keep
little
wave clearing
confused
that
on
mid.
how to pressure.
Wait, what? Hello?
They seem a little confused on how they want to apply pressure.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Which there is not that much wave clear on 2K2S. I would like to see Boy Butter just.
Yeah,
Oh,
and the
we're gonna see a
dragon
fight
is
here,
started
though.
here. Teleport is channeled into the
Oh,
dragon pit.
Amu.
Curse the Sad Mummy hits a lot of people here, and Splitter has to ult to try to save his life, but Scott's gonna pick up that kill. Manlure is incredibly low, double kill for Scott, and the fight goes horrible for Boy Butter, and they
And here
push
comes
out of the
Requiem.
dragon. K-King will pick up a kill on the backside, but I don't think
Oh.
it matters here. Bandage toss once again, and I'm just dead. Actually retreats to a safe spot, and Leda, and he is out, but he is the only survivor for Boy Butter. It is a 4-for-1 overall to 2K2S, and they will take the dragon off this.
That was such a good team fight out of 2K2S. Just everything went well. Epic Yandere, it seems to be every team fight he's around, he does one thing just awfully, and then he makes up for it by everything else in the fight going right. That time it was just a big whip on the bandage toss, and he was like, "All right, man, fuck this. This ain't Dota." He flashed in, he pops the curse of the Sad Mummy, and that just the 4-man Amu ult sets up everything. And now I'm just Dan.
Oh, I'm just Dan. He gets
going
caught.
in. Dan flashes out.
Oh man, that was real greedy out of Dan there, and he has to waste his flash there when he didn't really need to. He didn't need to be there. There's nothing he could have done to defend that tower. But four healthy men are going to counter push the mid here, while 2K2S, they have to back after getting a lot of stuff off that team fight. They got 4 kills, Dragon and the mid tower in their pocket. Charm lands onto Zaku. Let's see if they can follow this up. And they're trying to get the damage down on the tower, but it's not going to be enough. Thrifty's in the back, and he's laying down the Skittles to help wave clear.
I'm actually really impressed that 2K2S was able to hold that tower. I thought even if they gave up that mid lane tower, this would have been a good overall 2-minute sequence of events for them. But if they held that mid tower, it's even better. Tuko had to live, Tusuko had to die, now sitting at a 1,300 gold advantage in the comp that wants to scale.
Yeah, no, that last dragon fight was huge for them, and if you think about it on paper, I know Splinter likes to fight, but I don't think picking the 5-on-5 in the dragon pit was the good idea against Karthus and Amu.
No, they want to go for a fight where they can get the surprise somewhere. Use the Pantheon ult, use the Sivir ult.
Bandage toss over the wall, and Dan has to use the Ghost Blade to try to run away here, and 3 men top for 2K2S. There's also 3 men in the top area for Boy Butter too, so I guess it all evens out in the end here. Thrifty trying to push in the mid. Man drop coming in, channeled in onto the mid lane. Splitter flashes over the wall, and the CC lands.
Oh, man.
Perfect CC chain from Boy Butter, and they pick up the kill on the exposed mid laner for 2K2S. K-King uses the spell shield. It's not going to block a goddamn thing! Oh! Wow, that was a lot of trundle bite.
We can stop giving King the benefit of the doubt. He's just been bad this game.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. I agree there, but Rift Halo goes over to 2K2S, but what is he doing? Dan and Albino Joe were in there trying to delay it or deny it for some reason, but the flashless Dan will die. Now it's 9 kills for 2K2S. It's still only about a 1K gold lead, but I don't think they could really be sitting any prettier right now from the early game that they had.
No, I feel like as a friend, I have a responsibility to maybe pause this game and tell Dan and Albino Joe that Rift Herald does not deal the damage that Baron Nashor deals to the people taking it. I have no clue what they were hoping to do there.
Yeah.
And this is kind of turning into what we assumed the story for Boy Butter would be before this season. Masters, it really feels like this team needs to be micromanaged before they fuck up on their own free will.
Yeah. Ooh, Bandage Toss nearly missing there, but luckily with that Rift Herald buff, they easily take that top tower. Also with the Tristana, who has now the IE in here. Manlore is drifting into a scuffle by the Scuttle, and Manlore will Spirit Rush away from Thrifty. The threat is real, man. He has Rod of Ages. He has that tier, Sorcerer's Shoes. Next big item, something that builds out an Amplifying Tome.
Yeah, and that Karthus is going to start getting big, too. He's 1,200 gold off on Manlore the Miracle now. Most of that coming from assists and CS.
Yeah, he's actually the most farmed. He's the richest player on the Rift right now.
And if you can tell me ahead of time that was going to happen 20 minutes in with a 1-2 KD, I think Thrifty Senpai would be pretty ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
Because the kills he's let go over to Scotch and Epic Yandere have been, especially on the Scotch, has been very big.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Scotch, 3-0 and 4. Slowly becoming a titan in this game. He has the Iceborne, he's got the Tiamat, and the Jerome's Fist. Maybe he's a little split on what he really wants here, what his heart really desires. I assume that's a Titanic Hydra and a Sterix Gauge, but we'll see which comes first. Oh wait, does Jerome's Fist build in Titanic?
I think so. Yeah, but I don't build that on too often, so.
No, it totally
but
is.
I would expect it to be the Titanic Hydra. It's a very strong item. But Scotch has to be so. I mean, this is the Scotch we saw all last split in his rookie season with whoever that championship team was called. It was just Scotch would lose his lane and then win his game, and that's been Scotch this time. Dan was just dumpstering him for a few minutes, and then suddenly Scotch is 3-0-4. He's done. He's been incredibly selfless. That teleport bot lane, even though it didn't end up being that great, just a selfless player.
Yeah, I mean, he usually does. Like you said, he has a sort of a weaker laning phase in the top lane, but Joe lands the hook onto Zaku, but he is in the exact middle of the man drop there, and Zaku pops the ultimate on Alistar. See, and he flashes over the wall, and I think he might survive here. Alistar heal coming in, but Manlord, he goes super deep and gets bandit shots under the tower. 3-man curse the sand bumping, and it's a wipe for 2K2S. Boom Tuber jumps in, and no hope for Boy Butter. 3 deaths for them so far, and I'm Just Dan is on the run here. Look at that sad little robot Muppy. Here we go. And the stun lands out, but he's just gonna cry a big old river onto you. Joe gets found in the dry bush, and this is gonna be a delayed ace, it appears.
And there's a big push coming in the mid lane as well out of Boom Trooper and Thrifty Senpai. This is just... I feel like Master Splinter is just making a meme in this game. Like, when you hop on TeamSpeak and you're like, this fucking retard team has no clue what they're doing. Everyone just blew everything on the Alistar, and he just flashed over the wall, and then we lost the team fight. Like, is this fucking bronze? But it's not bronze, it's the SBL.
Yeah, no, you're right. Every ultimate was used on that Alistar there. Everything. All of their load. Sephiroth, Wukong ult, Nautilus ult, I mean, everything. Man drop, it's... Oh, man. And Manlord, being the ballsy player, like we said it before this game started, Manlord can be a great player like he was in this early game, but then he can start overreaching, doing plays like that, and goes way too deep under tower.
I have to wonder how much of that was Manlord and how much of that was just the team comms, though. Like, maybe they were thinking they had to finish that kill off on Alistar. Maybe it was getting panicky. I don't know, man.
It's getting desperation for Boybutter at this point because the late game scaling comp for 2K2S is in full overdrive now. Tristana has the zeal now to really tear down those towers, and a 7k gold lead, a 8k gold lead essentially for 2K2S. 3 dragons as well, so that doesn't really hurt on top of everything. K-King might get caught out here. Spell Shield will block a Skittle, but Sephiroth will also save his life there.
There was no reason. There were 0 wards. 0 wards in that entire quadrant of the jungle. Why was K-King pushed that far past the river when there was no tower to be taking and his own tower wasn't even there to fall back to? That's such a big ult that goes down for no reason. And King, you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, you have been just so bad this game. And the worst part was, this was supposed to be a big season for King after getting benched last season for Kindhosen. I really feel like he took that not right. Like, he just kind of got slighted. King, you didn't get benched because people don't like you. You got benched because you suck. And, like, he hasn't gotten any better. Look at this, man. 150 King. How are you going to hold up to all the 80 carries in this league if that's the best you can do?
Hey, man, he's farming as well as he can.
Benched, you take it as your teammates fucked up instead of, hey, I need to get better at this game. You deserve this. And yeah, that's it. And this is really sad. The mighty has fallen far away. And all I'm saying is Cruise Master did play some 80 carry last season. Yeah, that's true here. And 4-man push
in the top lane for 2K2S. Oh, and the
there's a
engage
nice
starts
on-on.
here. Civarol comes in, Wukong ult goes in, and they're going full ham though. Thrifty's on the other side of the map, but the Karthus ult goes down, and it's so much damage. 2K2S, they're just too ahead at this point. They can't do a goddamn thing. A Boom Trooper gonna pick up that last kill. 2 kills already for 2K2S. Here's the third one. Thrifty just activating the E. I don't even know what it's fucking called. We'll just call it Death Circle.
Death Circle, pretty fitting after what it just did.
Yeah.
And geez, that was the fight. The only damage Thrifty got, besides the Death Circle, was his Requiem. And that was enough for that to be a 4v5 slaughter.
Yeah.
This is not looking good for Boy Butter, who are about to be down 12k in Baron Nashor in the game that they needed to win early.
Yeah, no, this game's over. But honestly, that is probably the best play that Boy Butter could have made there. They knew that they just had to fight.
And that's always a hallmark of Master Splinter teams, is when you have to fight to try to get back in, he will.
He's not going to pussyfoot around like some teams will be like, oh no, it's not the right time, you know, we'll fight at the next tower, we'll fight at the next tower. No, Splinter's like, no, we're wasting time right now, we're losing this game by not fighting. You know, Toes King, hit your R button, and then maybe hit some other ones while you're
and that
there.
looked like a good engage, but 2K2S was just too prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's too many so many tools. Scotch with the Trundle Pillar to help disengage there. Zaku being Alistar, and obviously, yeah, just a ton of AoE. So when you fight AoE head on with what usually is just like a pick composition, the AoE team fight comp will always win.
So I want to get your opinion on this, because looking at the way 2K2S is playing, this looks like a hell of a lot more than just Scotch and Ott came back. This looks like a brand new team compared to the team that was playing last week.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that's just maybe it's the positive attitude Scotch brings to his team, but maybe it is also that leadership. Like he really is a leader now in the SBL, coming off a fantastic rookie debut, winning the championship, and him along with Thrifty I think are a pretty powerful combo when it comes to the macro game here. Maybe something a combo that some people overlooked when compared to others. And Civarol is popped.
And they just gave up on that right away. Not miscommunication. And that's
King.
I don't know what you're doing, King. I don't know who called for that.
Oh, Charm goes wide. They got a really nasty split push going on right now. No, I don't know. No one can answer Sundari Scotch.
Baron in both lanes, and this Tristana's about to mow this tower down. Oh, but that's a big hook on a Thrifty.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, his team was not there. Chris said Mummy actually misses there, and K-King's gonna pick up the shutdown on the retreat from 2K2S, but now they power forward here. Mandrup, wait, Dan actually got a kill onto Scotch up top. Mandrup comes in, and he actually lands a stun onto Boom Trooper. Splitter's going in, but Boom Trooper flashes away from the last remaining damage here. I don't think that, they can't chase here. The Baroned up minions are giving them a tough time, and that's something.
So we have a chance to talk bigger picture here. I mean, we're stalled out, but I assume we're about to see a 5-man march down in the spot lane to get the exposed inhibitor.
Yeah.
But another team I want to talk about is the other team in this game, which is Boy Butter, who also don't look at all like they looked last week. They at least looked fairly coordinated last week.
Yeah, no, I agree. Their week one was actually, well, I don't know. They had a really good early game. This game, and there actually was some pretty neat plays. Manlor and Dan with the gank mid. I think K-King and Albino Joe played the bottom lane significantly better, but maybe that was just their duo being a little bit stronger. Oh, and the ghostly voice from beyond the wall. Notice that their support players in this game have not upgraded Sweeping Lens into Oracle Lens.
Albino Joe, Zaku-sama, you're both being judged.
Honestly, if I were to speak candidly here, both of these support players, Albino Joe and Zaku, they, in my experience, from my viewpoint, they make some very questionable item builds and decisions sometimes. But overall, actually, this game, I like both of what they got going here. So, aside from the sweeping lens problem, everything else is looking pretty good.
All right, we see the pressure crashing back in. Sundari Scotch on a super low tower.
Charm
top,
actually
but,
lands.
Man.
It's going to be a follow-up hook from Albino Joe. Alozal goes on to Boom Trooper, but he will get out of the ultimate. Boom Trooper's on a rampage here. KK can't do a thing. And Master Splinter, he's going to try to go and pick up some kills, try to salvage his team here, but it will not be enough. Only 2 members remaining for Boy Butter against 4 strong. And one of those being Tristana with the bomb. Melting towers,
down.
and I believe that's going to be the game going over to 2K2S here. 30 minutes into the game, their first win of the season.
Yeah, just a really good game out of 2 Kawaii to live, 2 Sugoi to die. 21-8 really tells you everything you need to know about how that game went. And they looked impressive. After that one bad fight bot, they looked impressive from there out in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to pull in some interviews real fast. I'd like to pull in 2. I'd like to pull in Sundari Scotch and Epic Yandere. I guessing you won't object to that.
No.
So maybe we could get the ghostly voice and the ghost to ghost them both into here. So just going to be a second while we wait. So we're going to pull Epic and Scotch into here for post-game interviews.
User was moved to your channel.
And welcome to the caster's booth, Epic Yandere and Scotch Sundari.
Okay.
You guys were truly 2 Kawaii to live and 2 Sugoi to die that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just go right into this. Scotch, your team sucked last week without you. It was last week to this week. Was that all you?
I guess, yep. I came in on Monday night, and we didn't even have full 5, but I came in and fixed everything.
That's incredible.
Perfect. All right. So Epic Yandere, is this your first time in the caster's booth?
Yeah.
Well, welcome
First win of
and
his
congrats
SBL
on the
career.
win.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, the Amu pick here. So I actually just learned this game that you are a big Evelyn player, and is Amu the next in line?
I
Or was
guess.
it was
I
it
don't
was
know.
it a pick
That's all I'm
purely
gonna
for
tell
the
you.
team composition?
It worked for the team comp, honestly. I guess people have figured out that I'm good at Evelyn, but she's just like the top tier, and then I got everyone else. So
Okay.
champion pool's big.
Well, that's good. That's really good to have in the SBL.
Yeah. One of these games I'll play Evelyn.
Yeah, don't count on that.
No, there's a lot of players in this league that still have nightmares of Evelyn.
PTSD.
Oh, they can let me play Evelyn, or they can let Thrifty play Karthus and Zyra and Ari and whatever the fuck he wants. So I'm happy with either.
All right, so Epic, another question for you. I described you at one point in this game as someone who had to fuck up something majorly in every team fight before doing everything else absolutely perfectly for the rest of the fight. Is that normal? I mean, do you usually count on like just missing a bandage toss or a curse of the sad mummy somewhere and just like hitting everything else?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I played a Mumu 3 times practicing this week, and I haven't touched him in like a year and a half. So my bandages are a little rusty, but I think I made 2 out of 3 flash ults. So fuck it, it worked.
Oh yeah, fuck it sure did. All right. Scotch, I got one more question for you then. Obviously, you had quite a bit of hype around you this season for this and that. And the big thing with you has always been that you've been a pretty selfless player. And I really thought that was the case in this game. You were kind of getting beat up on by Dan in the top lane in a situation where it was really bad for you to teleport, but there was a fight going down bot lane and you showed up to it. And it didn't go perfectly, but I feel like that just really kind of showed the mindset you have. And do you think that's going to be a big thing going forward this season? Is, you're on a team with, if Keizo Kami ends up starting next week, you'll be playing with 3 rookies. Boom Trooper, obviously, fairly low rank. Do you feel like you being a top laner that's willing to give things up for his teammates is going to be a big part of this team's identity? Or are you going to just put on your big boy carry pants and say, fuck it, guys, I'm doing me?
I would like to. I much prefer. I always put it this way: in solo queue, I would rate myself as gold 5, and in pre-made, I rate myself somewhere in upper plat, just because I much prefer working with other people towards a goal rather than just saying, "All right, I'm gonna counter pick this kid and I'm gonna shit on him," you know, because that can go very wrong if Splinter's on the other team, or if Thrifty has Ari and is on the other team, or there's a lot of things that could go wrong if your entire strategy is to win out of laning phase versus, let's survive early game, let's work for dragons, let's work for TP plays. Like, I told Zaku early on, after you get Sightstone, if you have an opportunity to get a ward way behind them, do it, because that'll give me an opportunity for a minute 30 to port behind them Infinity Point, and we can get some stuff done. Especially since we have an Amumu and stuff like that, and a Karthus. Like
Yeah.
that team was set up to just like, we're gonna pick somewhere to fight and we're gonna outfight them if they didn't get ahead.
Right, and it was looking a little scary in the early game. They did take a small lead, maybe like 2K, even at the max. I could probably even bring up the gold charts to confirm. But yeah, that's a great mindset to have, especially when your team did pick a great team fight composition. You guys played to the comp, didn't lose your cool in the early game, and you guys outscaled them incredibly hard. Up by 12K at the end of the game there, yeah, and they were only up by 2K at around 13 minutes. So overall, great game for you guys. You have any other questions, Swift?
No, I think we kind of hit the points I wanted to hit, so congrats, guys.
Yeah, congrats.
All right. Now that I've knocked Dan off the list of people 30 ranks higher than me, now I got purple, right? 30?
Wait, when did I say this?
I believe it was draft night. You put Dan above me, so thanks for the motivation.
Oh, there you go. I'm really just a good friend.
I was looking for it from Wang, but motivation comes from the strangest places sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll get first blood on purple too. It's all good.
Oh snap.
All right, well, it is on. We got some hype coming for this future matchup. So we are going to have a quick stream delay as we switch streamers in a moment, and then we will be back with Waifu Superstar versus the SS Boosted Friendship. So I believe, as they say on the LCS, don't touch that browser.